By this point, you're probably already aware that Apple is switching from their Intel chips to their own internally developed M1 chips in their new MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and Mac Mini. These revolutionary new chips are shaking up the computer world with their blazing performance, and I'm here to give you my thoughts on which one is right for you. Before we get started, consider becoming an Around the Lens patron by going to patreon.com/aroundthelens. For as little as $1 a month, you can support what we're doing here on this platform and allow us to continue making great content related to the world of visual journalism. If somehow you've been out of the loop and haven't seen one of the hundreds of videos or articles about these new computers, here's a quick recap. As I mentioned, Apple has decided to develop its own chipset, the M1, switching from Intel. With this new chip, Apple has reorganized and combined the RAM, processor, and memory onto one system on a chip, allowing for incredibly fast communication between all parts of the computer, resulting in higher performance with lower power consumption. Therefore, you're seeing Apple, and now many tech reviewers, boasting that its performance is leaps and bounds ahead of most Windows PCs, and even Apple's own higher-end, fully spec'd out Mac Pro and 16-inch MacBook Pro. If you're a visual journalist and considering upgrading to one of these, which one should you buy for yourself? Well, here's my breakdown of which of the new M1 Macs is best for each use case. If you're primarily a photographer, photojournalist out there on assignment, processing photos and filing them on the go at a random coffee shop or even in your car, you can't go wrong with the MacBook Air. This beast of a laptop is powerful enough to ingest and edit even the highest of raw files with ease. Furthermore, its lightweight makes it ideal for sticking in a camera bag without reminding you that it's there. Finally, the battery life is phenomenal, meaning you can leave the power brick at home and you won't need to look for an outlet when you're out and about. Even the base model of the Air, which is $999, with its 8 gigs of RAM and 256 gigs of memory and 7 graphics cores, will be fine for most photographers. I would even recommend the MacBook Air to the photojournalist who occasionally shoots videos. This computer is more than capable at crunching 4K video for short periods of time, especially if all you're doing is cutting together a quick stringer. For the dedicated videographer or documentary filmmaker, you've got two great options in the form of the 13-inch MacBook Pro or the Mac Mini. Both have power for days and the ability to provide sustained processor loads with their built-in fans. The real question is if you need portability or if you're more cost-conscious and don't need to edit on the go. The Mac Mini might be right for you. I have personally moved away from the need to edit anywhere and have invested heavily in my spec'd-out desktop PC. If I were buying one of these machines right now for my video editing needs, the Mac Mini would suit me perfectly. I like to get home, relax, get comfortable in my editing suite, and just focus on editing. Besides, in this COVID environment, who's really traveling that much anyhow? But if you're a high-speed editor who needs to crank out edits on the go, the MacBook Pro is probably your best option, and you can still use it as a desktop computer when you get home. The real question you need to ask yourself, though, is if portability is worth that extra $600 it costs to go from the Mac Mini to the MacBook Pro, or whether that money would be better spent on upgrades to the Mac Mini. So there you have it. That's my take on which computer might be right for you. But there is always the third option, which is not to buy any of these machines. Again, these are new first-generation processors, and the software you use might not be ready or optimized for them. Again, these are new first-generation processors, and the software you use might not be ready or optimized for them. So the type of performance boost you'd be expecting with these new chips might not be present for a while, or there might be bugs, glitches, and unforeseen compatibility issues. It might be better to just stay with what works as opposed to going to a brand new system that might present unexpected issues in your workflow. The last thing you want to happen is for some unexpected difficulty to crop up when you're trying to deliver a product to a client by deadline. Finally, it might also be prudent to wait and see how these chips are used in other Apple products. Perhaps you need ultimate power. Then it might be best to wait until the release of the revised iMac, iMac Pro, Mac Pro, or 16-inch MacBook Pro. Regardless of what you buy, the M1 chip marks the beginning of a new era at Apple, and I'm excited to see how this processor grows and develops in the future. I can't wait for the eventual M2 and M3 chips and what kind of remarkable new performance capabilities they bring to the Apple ecosystem. I honestly think Apple has a real chance at being the most powerful computer maker on the block and blowing away the competition, both now and into the future, as they upgrade their chips. My maxed out desktop PC struggles at editing 8K files from my Canon R5, so if I can someday upgrade to a machine capable of providing high-speed, real-time editing and rendering of those files, that will be a glorious thing. Let me know which Mac you're considering getting in the comments down below. And if you like what you saw here, consider elbow dropping the like button or roundhousing the subscribe button. I'm David J. Murphy. This has been an Around the Lens commentary, and I'm out.